This is Burned Out with Yanisa, Vanessa, and Vee.
Hello. First, I wanted to introduce myself a little. My name is Yanisa. I am a teacher in K-12 education, specifically sixth grade.
My name is Vee Dries. I used to teach art for sixth grade, but I'm credentialed in English.
My school is basically saying that we're testing to see where the students are. We haven't had a common core state test since COVID. I was just wondering, how do you guys feel about standardized testing in K-12 education? Even though like admissions to like higher education later on in their life, like SCT, ACT, are like now exempt from like UCs and Cal States.
My name is Vanessa Arnold. I work in higher education. And, I also think about like myself when I was in, you know, elementary, middle, high school, and just like the stress of being like, okay, you have standardized testing, like you need to do this, you need to do well. And then, as I got older, realizing that, well, like the scores that students receive, they help the school, right? Like your how
Mhm.
much money you get, like what type of school you are. Do these tests really do anything for the student besides make the school look better because a certain amount of your students receive like this type of score, right? Like, what are we doing to students?
I mean, we're all in a master's program here. Did you guys test well?
No.
No.
I am a horrible
People in
test
my
taker.
Well, how'd you get to a
Yeah, I
master's
agree.
program, right? We all took the same tests. I don't know if you didn't do well. I mean, were we supposed to be here? you know?
Exactly. So like how are those tests a measurement? And like for those of people that are not able to be here, let's say,
Yeah.
because they didn't test well or because they didn't test well enough to be admitted somewhere, what do
Mm-hmm.
we know about the students in certain quarters or in certain semester in terms of what happened to their like in their personal life
Yeah.
that we're not taking into consideration? Because I don't know if you know, Vanessa, like what do they do for that in like the education system? Is there a way for them to explain that? Do they take that into
Mm.
consideration?
So at least like in the CSU system, we don't do holistic
No.
admissions.
No.
So
Mm,
like you don't really get a chance to explain why your GPA is so low or what other things can contribute to you being a successful student, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think at the UCs, you have a personal statement that you have to write of like, this is what I've
mm,
done or my community service. And I believe maybe at like private institutions, they have more holistic admissions as well. But, being a
You could
state
pay to get in, yeah.
school, yeah, but and even like just
If you
being
don't
a
have the
state
financial
school,
barrier, right?
yeah,
right,
okay, right,
right.
because isn't UCs and privates more expensive?
Yes, they are.
So
And that's also like that definitely brings up another, issue is like who are the folks that are going to state institutions like CSUs? If you
Mm-hmm.
don't know about them, if your counselor, in high school doesn't tell you, "Hey, this is how you get to this
mhm,
point." I mean, it all stems from when you are in like elementary school. If you want to
Yeah.
go to college, like it stems from you being in an elementary school and where you went to elementary school, your teachers, did somebody see any potential in you?
When it's like we're talking about tracks, you've heard of that before, right? Like early on you're placed on a track,
mhm,
Yeah.
and if we're talking equity, it's hard to build an equitable system built on an antique one. And what I mean by that is it's old, it's built for a past generation, it's built for trade specifically when we needed to build things here, and we don't really do that anymore. We outsource those sort of things, so we no longer have a real need for that antiquated track system. Like literally, as Vanessa was saying, in the elementary school, they start seeing what your aptitude is. And then they start
mhm.
pushing you on these
Yep.
tracks. So from an early age, I've been in all remedial classes. And I never learned until much later in my community college that I was tracked.
Dude, you want to know what's so
Oh,
funny about that? Like, so I was on the honors track. So when I was in elementary school, we had
was it gate?
gate. Yes, I was in gate. It's like everybody knew that like if you were not in AP classes, like you pretty much were not going to college. Be
Are
like
you
your
okay?
experience in doing like your remedial classes, like do you feel like that has led to burnout later, like from your transition from high school to college? And like you too, Yanisa, like you were on the kind of like gate.
No, I actually wasn't.
Oh,
So
you weren't?
I came to the United States when I was 7 years old. I didn't know any English. I was in English language learners classes like a lot. I actually didn't test out of that till high school. But then while I got out of that program, I was able to get into honors and AP classes. And you see like the change in the environment where the students are put in, like, and the teachers that they're given. It seems like they care more when you're on the right path, quote, whatever the right path is to college or to success.
Being an avid teacher, being a gate teacher, any advanced placement classes, it's a coveted position. And it's like, I remember like my teachers in every remedial class I had, like math, English, I was placed in them all. And I didn't get the fact that any of my teachers cared about me, let alone respected me. Like, I know I was an ass. Like, I'm not trying to hide that. I was not a great student.
There's definitely some classism in education.
Oh yeah, there is.
sure.
And also like V, like let's say if you had maybe a little more caring of like a teacher who was like, you know what, I'm gonna take a chance on you, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that for you.
Or a counselor that told me to take a foreign language class because no one said I needed a foreign language to go to college. Everyone just assumed I wasn't going to college. So I went to apply, I learned, oh, you needed to take how many years of foreign language to qualify? You know what I mean? I went to community college. The
pressure that is put on students to perform, right? Whether it's your standardized testing, whether it's that you're in AP or honors. I mean, there's a lot of pressure for students. And, you know, I see that being at university when they come here and they're just like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. In high school, somebody just told me what to do. My mom tells me what to do. My dad tells me what to do. And I'm like, well, I'm not your mom or dad. Like, you know, like you have to choose. And, you know, crazy. They're just constantly like trying. And they're like, I just need to know so that I can graduate on time.
I'd love to say just one more thing about that. I inevitably went to 3 different high schools. Ultimately, what had happened throughout my high school is I was making my own choices for good or bad, right? Obviously not the best choices. But when it came to making better ones, I was confident in the fact that I can make choices. I've been making my choices, albeit not the best, but I am capable of doing that. And I never thought twice about going to community college because that was my choice. No one thought I was going to do it, but you know what I mean? It was my choice out of the gate.
Yeah. I definitely noticed what you talked about, Vanessa, like them struggling, because I feel like when I was in my undergrad as a college student, I struggled with that. And I saw like a lot of my peers struggle with that. I felt like I didn't belong there because I felt a lot of them were like built for this. Like they're built to do college. Like they learn how to do college. Oh, I get to do whatever I want. Like it was like the first time that they're given these choices. And I see that within my classroom with 6th graders when they ask me pen or pencil. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, does it really matter? Like, isn't it what matters what they learn, what they know? Why does it matter how it's...
It leads to burnout and it causes physical problems. Increased illness also is part of burnout too. Like, you know what I mean? It can really change a person, like with anxiety, heart palpitations. I mean, I'm speaking from personal experience with that, but I mean...
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's been hard over the past 2 years, and we force students to work their hardest and do all these things that we expect them to do because of capitalism in our society leads to more burnout.
I wish we had all the answers. I wish we had all the solutions to burnout. I wish we had a magical, pill to fix it all, to take away the apathy, the increased irritability. Well, I guess if we're going to leave our listeners with anything, it's to fill your cup, right? Just pause. Yeah. Don't take the assessments too seriously, even yourself too seriously, because it's not an end all be all. At the end of the day, it's how you put your foot forward tomorrow, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't want to end up burned out.
Capital ED.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, listeners, for tuning into Burned Out with Yanisa, Vanessa, and Vee. We appreciate you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.